The iPhone 17 Pro may be getting a big camera upgrade after all. We've only got less than 1 month to go before the entire iPhone 17 lineup is revealed. So here are the latest news regarding the camera, the battery, and so much more. So get your popcorn ready and let's take a look. So let's start off with the camera. The main lens isn't expected to change much aside from possibly a variable aperture, like on the old Samsung Galaxy S9 or the Xiaomi 13 and 14 Ultra, that would allow more control over the depth of field. It's still unclear if this year's lineup was last year, but the good news is that the telephoto camera may be seeing a massive upgrade, making the jump from 12 megapixels to 48. If that is the case, then it would be the first time an iPhone packs a triple 48 megapixel camera setup. And this lens, by the way, is all set to have the ability to move, allowing for continuous optical zoom at various focal lengths. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but some of the older leaks were saying that the optical zoom may get dropped from 5x to 3.5x. Well, the good news is that the latest leak suggests that the optical zoom may actually increase from 5x to 8x. Although it is unclear whether the new telephoto would have 8x zoom at the new 48 megapixel resolution, or if Apple would simply use the optical crop trick first introduced on the iPhone 14 Pro. This would crop into the central 12 megapixel portion of the sensor for lossless zoom. So in theory, a 4x 48 megapixel telephoto could crop into 8x while still delivering a sharp 12 megapixel photo. So we could either see 4x zoom at 48 megapixels with an 8x lossless sensor crop at 12 megapixels, or 8x optical quality at 48 megapixels. I know this is pretty confusing, but yeah, this is what we would more than likely see with the iPhone 17 Pro. And I gotta say, even if Apple downgrades to a 4x telephoto, I don't think that would be too bad. For example, Vivo went with a 3.7x telephoto on the X200 Pro and the Ultra, and Xiaomi also opted for a 4.3x telephoto on the 15 Ultra, and that's because the portrait shots just look very natural. And if Apple uses a bigger sensor that's newer, hopefully we'll get better results too. But you know what else a 48 megapixel camera would make possible? 8K video recording and 8K wallpapers, like the ones in our app Wallpapers. Actually, ours are an even higher 59 megapixel in resolution. And since they're 1x1, you can apply them to your smartphone, tablet, and desktop. They're also all made by our designers, and over 200 of them are available to download for free. So simply use the link below to download our app Wallpapers on iOS and Android. But back to 8K video recording. Apple's had a 48 megapixel main camera since the iPhone 14 Pro, and the 16 Pro brought a 48 megapixel ultra-wide. But I think Apple's goal was to offer 8K recording across all lenses. That's why they probably didn't offer it previously. The S24 Ultra and S25 Ultra are able to record in 8K on all lenses, but again, that's limited to 30 FPS. And Samsung has actually supported 8K for about 5 years now, first being added with the Galaxy S20 series, but back then, it often looked worse than 4K, since the extra processing power needed for sharpening, stabilization, noise reduction, and color correction just wasn't there. But now, it is, and it's actually quite good. In that sense, Apple is about 5 years late to the party, so I'm hoping that they will finally introduce 8K recording this year, although there haven't been any clear reports stating this. A Chinese leaker on Weibo mentioned 8K earlier this year, but it turns out that he was actually referring to the price of the new iPhone in yen, as the current iPhone 16 Pro starts at 8K. So do take all of this with a massive pinch of salt. Also, even if you don't have an 8K TV, which most people won't, having 8K would still be useful for being able to zoom in, just like we do with our wallpapers that, yeah, you can just crop in like crazy. But before I continue, a big shout out to Saily, our sponsor for this video, for offering a super easy to use eSIM service that I can use affordably in over 200 destinations. This has been so handy for all of my work trips that I've done this year, from San Francisco to New York to Slovenia to Paris and so many more. Having data in places outside my roaming plans so I can navigate, translate conversations, and stay in touch with my friends has been crucial. So if you've got any summer trips planned and you want to stay connected at a great price, you can scan this QR code right here or download Saily from the App Store or Play Store. Also, don't forget to use coupon code ZONEOFTECH to get a 15% discount on your first data plan. But what better way to film in 8K than on a brand new camera app? Apple is rumored to be working on a new Pro camera app that could be used for photos and videos. This app would then compete with the likes of Halide, Kino, and Filmic Pro. It is unclear currently if the app would be exclusive to the iPhone 17 Pro models, but my guess is that this rumor seems very likely to happen. Why? Well, remember how Apple unveiled the new simpler camera app at WWDC 2025 and iOS 26? Well, I think that was intentional, because that's been streamlined for the vast majority of users to be just simpler and easier to use. So if anyone wants just a bit more capability from the default camera app, they would then just switch to Apple's Pro camera app. And I wouldn't be surprised if that also takes some heavy inspiration from Apple's Final Cut camera app. Speaking of advanced controls, Apple is rumored to be adding a second camera control button to the top of the iPhone. Now, we've seen all the backlash that they got after adding the camera control last year, but most users not even seeing the points of it, me included. Like, I honestly only use it to quickly launch the camera app. I literally disabled all the camera controls that I get from it. And I also rarely use it to actually take photos, and that's because when you use it, your phone will, of course, shake, so your photos can end up blurry because of that. And yeah, a lot of the times I just ended up accidentally pressing it and then just messing up my camera controls. Plus, the placement is not great. It's awkward no matter how you hold the phone. In portraits, I wish it sat a bit higher. And the landscape, I think it just needs to be way more to the right. Even if Apple added another button to the top edge, I don't think this would really solve any of these issues. But what do you guys think? Do you actually use the camera control button? So what about those battery leaks? Well, according to the latest ones, the iPhone 17 Pro Max could have Apple's largest iPhone battery to date, at around 5,000 mAh. That would be a 9 to 10 battery capacity increase over the iPhone 16 Pro Max, marking literally the first time in history where an Apple flagship has the same battery capacity as Samsung's flagship, the S25 Ultra. I mean, sure, Samsung has had a 5,000 mAh battery on their flagship for the past 5 years, but Apple has now finally caught up. So maybe it's time for both of them to finally join the silicon carbon battery trend. Drop a like down below if you want to see that happen. But back to the iPhone 17 lineup, we're expecting the iPhone 17 Air to have a 2800 mAh battery. Then, the vanilla iPhone 17 may have a similar battery size to the one we've seen on the iPhone 16, as there haven't been any clear reports on its battery capacity. Then, the 17 Pro may have a 4500 mAh battery encased in metal, just like the smaller variants of the Apple Watch, which could enable more capacity in the same footprint, better heat dissipation, and even faster wireless charging, something that I mentioned in our previous video. And another interesting thing that we could finally see on the Pro lineup is the new electrically debonding adhesive used on the iPhone 16's battery. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, almost every battery has this pull tab mechanism to release the glue underneath, which normally always breaks apart. Well, the iPhone 16 had a completely new type of adhesive that could easily be released just by hooking it up to a 12-volt battery. And within 30 seconds, the battery would simply fall off on its own. This was something exclusive only to the iPhone 16, 16e, and the 16 Plus. But this year, it may finally be coming to the new iPhone 17 Air and the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max lineup, making future repairs much easier. Aside from this, we've also had some pricing and storage leaks. Apple's upcoming iPhone 17 Pro is rumored to start with a base storage of 256 gigabytes, essentially doubling the entry-level capacity of the current iPhone 16 Pro, which starts at $999, while the 256 costs $1,099. The iPhone 16 Pro Max, for example, already starts at 256, but that's for $1,199. For the iPhone 17 Pro, Apple may adopt a similar strategy by introducing a 256 gigabyte base model priced at around $1,049. Effectively replacing the 128 gigabyte option currently available at $999. And instead of a simple $50 price increase, Apple could frame this as, oh, you're paying $50 more, but you're also getting double the storage. Therefore, the lineup would also be streamlined since you would have the same base storage as on the Pro Max model. An analyst is even saying that we may see that $50 price increase across the board on all new iPhones. This will leave us with a starting price of $849 for the standard iPhone 17, $1,049 for the Pro, $1,249 for the Pro Max, and maybe $949 for the new iPhone 17 Air, if we take the last year's iPhone 16 Plus and then we add another $50 on top of that. So when are we expecting to see these new iPhones? Well, thanks to German site iPhone Ticker, we may now know Apple's release date for the iPhone 17.